Welcome back to the channel and another video. Thank you all for joining me. Today we're going to do another review, and today we're talking about a piece of fitness gear. Some of you may have seen that I've been training with an app called Couch to 5K, and today I wanted to talk about one of the tools I use as part of my fitness tracking, the Fitbit Sense. Before the Fitbit Sense, I've had a couple of different Fitbit devices. I've had a Galaxy Watch and a few other fitness wearables. I will definitely say as a disclaimer, I've never owned an Apple Watch, and there's kind of one big kind of lingering reason for that. It's because I don't just use Apple and iOS devices, and so that cross-platform compatibility is an essential feature for me. Also, I don't like the fact that it isn't an all-day device, because I really like the sleep tracking functionality that is found in some of the other wearables. With that said, let's dive into the pros and cons of the Fitbit Sense and my experience with the Fitbit Sense and who I think the best customer is for a Fitbit Sense. This is somewhat relevant because there probably is a new Fitbit Sense on its way out soon. Some of this stuff obviously will apply, some of it won't. So take what you want from this review if you're looking at a Fitbit Sense or looking to pick up a Fitbit Sense 2. Wow, I said Fitbit Sense like 100 times there. Let's start out with the pros for the Fitbit Sense. And the first and foremost one for me is cross-platform compatibility. Whether you're on iOS, whether you're on Android, whether you switch between the two, you have access to your app, you can sync your watch, all the rest of that. And I think that cross-platform compatibility is such a big benefit because I don't want to be stuck to one device. I don't want to be trapped inside an ecosystem that I can't get out of because I have X amount of products from that one brand. I find that a little ridiculous because the person who makes the best watch doesn't necessarily make the best phone. Again, personal opinion on all of that. So if you're an Apple person through and through, maybe the Apple Watch is the correct watch for you, but for me, that's one of the biggest pros of the Fitbit. The next pro is battery life. A lot of smartwatches have a battery life of about 24 hours, where you have to at least charge it once a day or once every 2 days or 3 days. For me, that wasn't a great selling point because I want to be able to put my watch on, leave it on for a while, forget about it, and have it just sitting there idly tracking the data. I don't want to have to think about an additional thing. I don't want to have to carry a charger for an overnight trip. My wife and I recently went away for a weekend up to Massachusetts for the 4th of July. During that trip, I didn't have to charge my Fitbit once. I tracked my sleep, I tracked the run, I did all of my other exercise and tracking, came home, plugged it in, all good. And that long battery life, I think, is such a convenient piece of mind when it comes to a fitness tracker. And also it allows you to use the other essential feature that I really like, which is the sleep tracking. And I think that's one of the biggest, that's one of the bigger pros for me, is it has a decent in-depth sleep tracking. I've always struggled to get good, consistent sleep. And so having information on my sleep and my sleep health is pretty important to me. Another pro for me is the accessory library for the Fitbit. So far, it seems from both Fitbit and third parties, accessories are pretty prevalent, pretty varied, and overall give you a good selection to fit whatever needs you want. If you want to dress up this watch, there are obviously metal and leather bands that give it a little bit more of a classy timepiece kind of vibe. Or for me, it gives me the option to have an elastic strap that I can basically fit over my giant stupid fist and not have to deal with clasps and closures and velcros, which I just don't like, and that's a personal choice. But I have the accessory library there to support that. It does not have the biggest accessory library. I think the Apple Watch by far has a bigger third-party and first-party accessory library, but the Fitbit is right there. So it is a good, positive thing for the Fitbit. With any fitness tracker, it needs to be accurate. And another big pro for the Fitbit is across the board, it is pretty accurate. I've checked the data that my Fitbit collects against other pedometers, as well as blood O2 sensors, blood pressure cuffs from Omron, and also my doctor, as well as when I go donate blood. And it seems to be pretty accurate across the board. The numbers pretty much line up. There is a little variance, but nothing that would be out of like statistical error type of variation. So overall, I think the information is relatively accurate, so you can trust what it's telling you. In addition to the information being accurate, it's also easy to understand. The app is fairly full-featured. It has a lot of good charts. The information is well laid out. You can choose to see the information you want to see, ignore the information you don't, and also add additional bits of information, whether it's from a smart scale, or you can track your nutrition. You can also link it with apps like MyFitnessPal, Strava, and other fitness-related apps. So you get a whole collective view of your health, and you can kind of compile all of that health information into one place. So overall, the user experience on the watch and in the app, very, very good. Now let's talk about the cons, because again, like all products, nothing is perfect. And for Fitbit, the first and I think most important con to think about when looking at this product is the Fitbit Premium subscription. I think the Fitbit Premium subscription does add a lot of value, but I do wish it didn't come with a big price tag. Or I wish the devices were at a lower price, or say part of the Fitbit subscription, so you could get a new device, or you had some kind of protection if you were to break it. At, I believe it's like $50, $60 a year, give or take. The Fitbit Premium subscription does add a lot of health tracking metrics. They also have people analyzing your data and giving you back kind of useful tips, and also giving you alerts if something doesn't look right, which you could then go to your doctor and get actual medical advice and information if there was an actual problem. So it does add a lot of benefits to it. It definitely adds a lot of features and adds a lot of information that you can use to make you a healthier person. It's not for everybody. And I hate to say it, but I feel like with these devices, having that subscription is nearly essential at this point, because it feels a little lackluster or missing a lot of features if you don't have that. Nate from the future here. I was just editing this video together and realized I missed a pretty important topic that I wanted to mention in this video, and that is that this Fitbit does have a proprietary charger. This is a case with a lot of fitness wearables, so this is not unique to the Fitbit Sense and not unique to Fitbit overall. It's something that the Apple Watch deals with, Samsung's Galaxy wearables, all of the major fitness products use proprietary chargers. Usually it's a magnetic little puck thing that magnets to the back of the watch and charges it up. Like with all the other smartwatches, Fitbit does charge very quickly, but say if you're traveling, it might be inconvenient to find a Fitbit charger. So that's one thing I felt I had to mention, even though it's an issue pretty much across the board with most wearables. Even though this is an issue with almost all wearables on the market, it's something that I want to keep bringing up, so that way manufacturers see that this is an issue and maybe figure out a better way forward. Whether that's using a standardized Qi charging puck, or figuring out some other method to charge these devices. Either way, had to mention it. Back to the video. Another con when compared to a lot of the other smartwatches out there is there isn't a ton of applications available or a lot of features beyond kind of the standard. There isn't support for one of the major digital wallets like Google Pay or Apple Pay or even PayPal. I think you can technically use PayPal with it, but it doesn't really use the NFC chip, and it's not great. It's an okay experience. Like the Starbucks card, it isn't a tap. It basically just pulls up that barcode version of your Starbucks card and you scan it in store like you would with your phone. So I'm kind of hit or miss on its overall functionality as a smartwatch. I really see this device more as a dedicated fitness tracker and more focused on that. That's why my second con is it isn't the best fitness tracker. If you are completely focused on your athletic performance and you want all of the data, including a super accurate heart rate, you want stuff like cadence if you're riding a bike, other stuff like that, Garmin I think makes the best smartwatch you can get. Any of the Garmin products use their extensive knowledge of fitness, of GPS technology, to really make the most fully featured, best fitness watch out there. And I don't think anybody can lay a claim to it like they do. Integrates with a bunch of different accessories, including heart rate monitors that go around your chest, cycling accessories, cycling computers. It really is a full-featured health system. Like the Apple Watch and other smartwatches, it is a bigger device, so it's not necessarily something you want to have with you on you while you're sleeping, so sleep tracking may not be as convenient. That's really where I feel like the Fitbit shines. But since this is definitely something to consider if you're looking at these types of devices. Those really are the cons for the device. There's not a ton of things that I would really change. Obviously, I'd love more battery life. I'd actually like a slightly larger display. And I would probably like a little bit of a thinner device overall. But again, these are kind of nitpicky things. We're getting there. I'm sure the Fitbit Sense 2 will address some of my concerns and hiccups that I have with it, especially now that they are part of Google. So I would guess that Google Pay is going to be on the next Fitbit Sense 2. If you're in the market for a fitness tracker, I would maybe consider waiting. If any of those things that I mentioned before in this review are things that you may be concerned about, because they may be solved on Gen 2 of the product, and even if they're not, you probably can get a Fitbit Sense 2 for a little bit cheaper. With all that said, thank you all for joining me in this video. Hope you got some useful information out of it. If you use fitness trackers, let me know in the comments what you use. Have you had a good experience, bad experience, features that you wish was added to a watch, or things that you feel like are missing from your particular watch? I'd love to know, and I'm sure anybody who's interested in a fitness tracker would love to know your take on the device that you're currently using. As always, please subscribe to my channel. Helps me grow this and helps me build more videos for you to enjoy. Please like the video. As always, again, helps grow. There are affiliate links below to everything that I've talked about in this video, including the Fitbit Sense, and if there's a Sense 2 by the time this video comes out, I'm sure I'll leave a video for that too down there. Thank you all for joining me once again on a little walk in the woods. Catch y'all in the next one. Bye.